Looking to grade your Pokemon cards and you don't know how to do it? Check out Ludkins Collectables and grade your Pokemon cards with zero risk. Check video description or visit ludkinscollectables.com for more. Looking to trade your old bulk for some of the latest Pokemon booster boxes? Well, check ccgcastle.com. The process is very simple. Send in 1400 cards and get a brand new sealed booster box back. We ship boxes worldwide for free once we get your cards. Make sure to check video description or check ccgcastle.com for more informations. How's it going, Poke Trainers? Once again, welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, I'm gonna show you a Alolan Muk deck list for the standard format. Interesting deck, definitely, that can be used to play. Just recently finished this deck and I'm definitely looking forward to play with it. Probably on my next tournament or so. It's a little bit tricky to play with it because you can easily run out of the resources. You really need Salazzle to basically output heavy damage with the chemical bread, but there are a couple other substitutions that can be useful in this deck. So let's just start with the Pokemon list. I'm running 4 copies of the Alolan Grimer. So I kind of like that division attack that can be used for free. So we can search our deck for 1 Grimer, put it onto the bench. In addition to that, I'm running 3 copies of Alolan Muk. In case if you don't know what Muk can do, it's 220 HP Darkness Pokemon with a chemical breath, 10 plus, 70 for each special condition affected on our opponent active Pokemon. With the crunch for 4 energies, we can discard 1 energy from our opponent active Pokemon, hit for 120, and with the 3 Hazard GX, we can also again use it for free and basically leave our opponent active Pokemon we first need to pick one of our opponent benched Pokemon, switch with the active, and then leave that active Pokemon with Paralyze, Poison, and Burn, which is just insane. In addition to that, I'm running 3 copies of Celadent, so I can have basically 2 copies of Salazzle, which is a very important piece of puzzle in this deck, mainly because that Hot Poison, when we play Salazzle from our hand onto the bench, we can simply leave our opponent active Pokemon with Burn and Poison. So the Burn is pretty much your opponent need to flip a coin at the end, between the turns, and if he get heads, he just clear burn condition. If he get tails, the affected Pokemon will get 20 damage counters. Of course, with the poison, he will take 10 damage counters per turn. So that's pretty much it. Tapu Koko ×1 with the Fly Flip. I actually like the Fly Flip mainly because I can spread some damage counters around the board in early games, so I can have one easier one-hit knockout with the Muk. Especially against Metagross, because it's going to be very hard to one-hit knock out that beast. 1/1 line of the Remoraid Octillery, and of course I'm running 2 copies of Tapu Lele with the Wonder Tag, so I can basically set up with the bridge at turn 1 and later pick anything that I need with my Tapu Lele. The good thing about Tapu Lele in this deck is, and the reason why I'm not running more than 2 of them, is simply because the fact that I'm gonna run 1 copy of Pearl City, which is gonna be very effective, mainly because with the Pearl City, I can just decide to have 3 Pokemon on my bench. I can get rid of 2 of my Leles, and I can simply just, you know, Field Blower that Pearl City, and with the Rescue Stretcher, I can just again pick the Tapu Lele and put it back into my hand, and then just play it on the bench for the Guzma. So this is how the idea for this deck is built. Also, with the Pearl City, I can just discard my Muk from the bench, for example, and maybe Tapu Lele with tons of damage counters, so I can just prevent my opponent from taking extra prize. 2 copies of Field Blower, of course. As I mentioned, it very important, especially against Garbodor, because it's going to be hard and difficult to beat Garbodor with a Garbotoxin. And of course, 2 copies of Rescue Stretchers. So as long as I have Rescue Stretcher, I can just, you know, grab those Pokemon from my disco pile and put them back into my hand. So from the tool cards, I decided definitely to go with 2 copies of Floatstones. It's a pretty good card, trust me. With the Floatstone, I can have retreat with one of my Pokemons. It's very important. I mean, these days we have Guzma, so even if we're stuck in the front with something that we cannot retreat, we can always play Guzma and get rid of it. But still, Floatstone is a very useful card, especially on the Muk, who have 4 retreat cost. Poison Barb is a very interesting card, but I decided to give the advantage to those choice bands. Mainly because with the choice band I can have extra 30 damage with my Muk, so there's an easier way to go for easy one-hit knockout against 180 or up to 210 HP Pokemons. Thumbs up for that. And of course, yeah, one of the most important cards right here, definitely Devolution Spray. I'm running 4 copies of Devolution Spray in total. If you wonder why we need Devolution Spray, well, we definitely need it for Salazzle so we can have consistent burn and poison from turn to turn. It's very important. I mean, we can even do self-destruction. I call it self-destruction, where we can simply devolve our active Alolan Muk into the Alolan Grimmer and force, for example, our opponent to take only 1 prize card, where we can then just hit him with something for like enough damage counters for the knockout and just still gave our opponent the opportunity to take only 1 prize card, which can also be a huge advantage in some cases. Running 4 copies of also Ultra Balls will allows us to search our deck for any Pokemon that we need. Of course, in order to play Ultra Ball, you first need to discard 2 cards from your hand. That's pretty much obvious. Support line, 1 copy of Bridget. I guess I don't need to talk too much about Bridget. So interesting thing is that I decided to give advantage to Mellow instead of the Kukui. In some certain situations, being able to play Kukui and add 20 damage counters can be useful. Especially if we can hit with Salazzle and the Poison Burn for like 150, with Choice Band 180, and with Kukui up to 200, technically. So with the Poison at the end of the turn, our opponent can take 10 more damage counters, and from the Burn he can probably take 2 more damage counters, so that can be like 230 in total. Could be enough for the one-hit knockout in the mirror match against Muk, for example, but still not enough to go for the one-hit knockout against our opponent Metagross, which can be a huge disadvantage. So this is the reason why I just decided to not bother with that and just gave the advantage to Mellow, because as long as we have Octillery, Mellow can be very useful because we can just grab 2 cards that we need and put them on the top of the deck and then simply pick them with the Octillery. In addition to those Mellows, of course, I'm running 3 copies of Guzma. Very good card. Not that good as the Lysander was, in my opinion, because you still need to switch your active Pokemon on your bench. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky, especially if you cannot retreat or attack with the new active Pokemon, so that can be a little bit tricky. But 3 Guzma might seem a little bit too much, but trust me, it's definitely not. Especially in a deck where you can just one-hit knock out your opponent GX Pokemons with the single shot. Of course, 4 copies of Professor Sycamore for the drop support, as well as 4 copies of the N. We can really benefit from the N, especially if we play against our opponent who have only 1 or 2 prize cards left and he don't have something like Oranguru or Octillery on his bench. And we have, for example, in that certain situation, N can be very useful and very disruptive against our opponents. So this is the reason why 4 copies of N makes a lot of sense. It's also very good for the consistency of the drop support. That makes a lot of sense. And if you ask and wonder how many energies I'm running, of course I'm running 4 copies of just regular double cores energies in this build. 4 DCEs makes, of course, a lot of sense because Muk needs 1 Darkness Energy and 1 Double Cores Energy in order to use the Chemical Bread. Also, Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele can use the advantage of the Double Cores Energy, so this is the reason why 4 Double Cores Energies makes a lot of sense. And in addition to those 4 Double Cores Energies, I'm also running 7 regular basic Darkness Energies in total, which will basically conclude this deck to the 60 cards in total. Very interesting deck. Unfortunately, it cannot go for the one-hit knockout against 250 HP Pokemon, which is a Metagross. So this deck will have a little bit hard time against Metagross. Against any other deck, I guess it's gonna be just fine. It's definitely easy to play. It's also very interesting to be played. I like the concept of the deck. It's not expensive. If you already have Tapu Leles in your personal collection, Getting all of these cards, like 4-3 copies of Muk and the 3-2 line of the Salazzle, will probably cost you around 10 bucks, which is just affordable. Any other cards are pretty much staples, so if you're a player, you should definitely have them in your collection, so it's not going to be that hard to get them. Overall, I will rate this deck as very funny to play. I'm very excited to test this deck in real life. I play a little bit with it in the TCGO, and it works definitely fine, so I kind of like it, and I hope you guys will do the same thing. So I hope you're gonna enjoy watching. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Also, make sure to check CCG Castle and LudkinsCollectable.com if you're looking to buy, trade, sell, or maybe even send your cards to the PSA professional grading service. You can do that. Just make sure to check video description. All information that you need to know can be found there. So thanks once again for watching and for your time. We'll see you in the next video. So till the next time, have a nice day and goodbye.